Decocking a double-action handgun is a critical step in rendering the firearm as safe to carry. Perhaps the most straightforward design to accomplish this with is a double-action automatic which features an integrated decocking mechanism, such as this Beretta Model 92A1 chambered in caliber 9x19 Parabellum. When you load your first round, the hammer will remain in the single-action position. To lower the hammer into the double-action position, thus rendering the firearm safe to carry, you simply actuate the slide-mounted decocker. On this particular firearm, the decocker is also a safety that must then be deactivated to be carried with your first shot in double action. Not all double-action autos with integrated decockers are created equal, however. Take for example the CZ Model 75D Compact chambered in caliber 9 Luger. The way its decocking mechanism works is that it must be depressed all the way down until a tactile notch is engaged. It can then be released and will spring back to its original position while dropping the hammer into the half-cock position, rather than all the way down like the Beretta. This allows your first shot to be a double-action pull from the half-cock position, also a safe condition for carry. The next type of handgun is a double-action auto, which lacks an integrated decocking mechanism, such as this Beretta Model 81BB chambered in caliber 32 ACP. This firearm is a double-action single-action auto-loading pistol, but only has a manually operated safety rather than a decocker. Like the previous automatic, when the first round is chambered, the hammer will remain in the single-action position. From this condition, you can render the firearm safe to carry by engaging the manual safety. If, however, you intend to make this weapon safe to carry by having your first trigger pull in double action, you would need to lower the hammer on a loaded chamber. To accomplish this, cover the entire hammer with your thumb as shown. This ensures that if the hammer slips, it will catch your thumb rather than falling completely. Next, pull the trigger. Then let the hammer come forward only slightly. Release the trigger completely, then lower the hammer into the half-cock position. This is a 100% safe process for handguns with firing pin blocks. Releasing the trigger re-engages the internal safety. This is a feature on almost every modern handgun, even this 35-year-old Beretta. I am now going to demonstrate the unsafe method of lowering the hammer, which would be to lower the hammer all the way to the frame manually. This is done in a similar way, however the trigger is held to the rear during the entire process. Holding the trigger to the rear disables the firing pin block and allows the firing pin to move forward when struck by the hammer. What this means is that any slippage that occurs while the trigger is pulled could potentially cause a negligent discharge. Next up is a double-action revolver represented by the Smith & Wesson Model 36 chambered in caliber 38 Special. Note that revolvers are unique in that the cylinder will rotate every time the hammer is cocked, so after decocking you must remain mindful of which chambers have been fired and which ones have not. Decocking this type of handgun is very similar to the previous method. Wrap your thumb completely over the hammer, including the hammer nose, for the same aforementioned reasons. At this point, pull the trigger, allowing the hammer to go forward in a controlled manner. Release the trigger, and now you can release the hammer safely. Releasing the trigger before completely lowering the hammer re-engages an internal safety which disables the firing pin from contacting the primer of a loaded chamber. Similar to the automatic, if you were to lower the hammer while holding the trigger to the rear for the entire process, on this revolver the firing pin would protrude through the frame, contacting the primer of a loaded chamber and potentially causing a negligent discharge. Unlike the automatic, however, any slippage here has a much higher chance of setting off a primer as the firing pin is not held under spring tension. Thus concludes this presentation on double-action handguns. Thank you for watching.